is going on YouTube? Gyvi World here. Hope everyone's having a great day today. Today I got a little bit of a different video once again. We could call this my conspiracy theory series or whatnot. But anyways, this is another one that I think a lot of us are pretty upset about in the community, in the MLB The Show community. I think a lot of us have noticed that fielding is definitely broken. Now, there's a lot of different things that come to my mind, a lot of different theories that I have as to why I think fielding is broken. But the truth of the matter is, it literally comes down to one thing, or one person, should I say. Fielding is literally broken because of cougs. That is an absolute fact. If you don't know this, fielding is 100% broken because of cougs. And this isn't anything, like, we all know this is literally all Cougs' fault. So thank you very much, Cougs. You smell, and thank you for ruining fielding for all of us. No, but seriously, there has been a lot of issues with the fielding this year. It's not Cougs' fault. Obviously, I'm just kidding. Although you are to blame for one thing. Love you, Cougs. But anyways, fielding has been a kind of an issue pretty much for the MLB The Show community for a couple years now. If you've been playing MLB The Show since MLB 15, that was when Diamond Dynasty really started to break through. 16, we started to see more collections, and it became a little bit more mainstream. A lot more people were playing MLB The Show. But in 15, it seemed that it wasn't programmed correctly for the fielding. Fielding itself was okay, but one of the biggest issues was fielders weren't very smart. That was the only problem. If Ichiro was up to the plate, sometimes fielders wouldn't be at the right depths. Then a simple ground ball to a shortstop would end up being an infield hit. Although Ichiro did that a lot in his career, you just saw it a lot more in MLB The Show because it seems shortstops middle fielders had absolutely no urgency whatsoever. They played Ichiro at the plate the same way they would Bartolo Colon at the plate, and that's how they based the decisions, and the animations you got into was all it was all the same. It didn't matter who was at the plate. So in MLB 16, I think they started to make some adjustments to things like that. They tried to help with bunchies. Defense as a whole was just not in a great state. In MLB 15 and MLB 16, we saw a lot of cheesy stuffs with base running just because fielding hadn't adapted very well. 17, I believe, was when they introduced Humanity AI, which basically for the CPU it meant when balls hit off the wall, they wouldn't play it so perfectly. It was a little bit more humanistic, a little bit more realistic. Fielders would know who was at the plate and take into account what their speed was and charge in on balls and get rid of it quickly. But it still wasn't perfect. It was pretty much a brand new system. And so basically what they did was they had to scrap the previous system and completely program a brand new system. Now what you have to realize is, like anything in any system, like I've mentioned before, even with the hitting, when you go to the drawing board, FIFA, when they went from I have no idea, I can't remember what the previous engine they were on, but when they went on to Frostbite, they pretty much had to scrap the game completely. Same with Madden. Madden was all laggy. Guys had like they had no skeletons. It was just a really funky game for a year or two before they got it right. And that's honestly kind of what I'm expecting from San Diego Studios, if not a little bit longer, just because their team's a little bit smaller. Now, one of the great things about 17 is finally, I do believe, things like bunchies was kind of gone. So it was a step in the right direction. It was good for the whole of the game in the future. And what is that future? I'm actually going to get into that in my next video, but I think we all know what it is. MLB The Show and San Diego Studios is pushing towards, just like every other game, every other sports game, every other game, period. Now, of course, like I said, there were some steps that MLB took forward, and there were some steps that MLB took backwards. I think we all know one of the other things that really grinded our gears in MLB 17 was all the tag animations. If you guys saw my MLB The Show 17 in real life video, there's one clip where we pick off the first, and then we let the guy slide back in and then go to tag him. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It definitely needed to be touched up. So they added a completely new engine, new catch and tag engine with all brand new animations. And to be honest, for the most part, I would say it is kind of fixed. Now, my main thinking is I think MLB The Show is trying to take a very competitive route into their game, trying to broaden their horizons, and I think they're trying to suck in as much people as possible and bring them into their game before they start taking this competitive approach that all other games, sports games especially, are taking in esports. Now, do I think they're doing this correctly? Absolutely not. I think they absolutely botched it, but I kind of know what they're doing. The reason fielding is broken simply comes down to this. Previously in fielding, there was no skill gap. There is absolutely no skill gap in fielding in MLB The Show in previous years. I'd say from 16 or 17 back, there was absolutely no skill gap. The ball was there, you ran to the circle, you made the catch. Sometimes if you had a fielder like Reggie Jackson, he was going to drop it. If you had Ted Williams out there, he was sometimes going to drop it. But most of the time, unless you were drifting into the circle, you were going to make the catch. There was none. A ball was hit, you kind of just ran a straight path towards the ball, cut it off, get the throw into the cutoff or throw it into a base, and that was it. What they're trying to do now is, just like with hitting, there is supposed to be a skill gap. Basically, with hitting, it's supposed to be the elite hitters are supposed to succeed. It's the same thing with the elite pitchers are supposed to succeed, but for fielding, that doesn't exist. So what they're trying to do is basically separate those who don't know exactly the best routes to take to the ball, and that's what Ramon Russell and co have been preaching a lot. The thing is, it's not programmed correctly. It's still in its very early stages. I would say this being its first year actually being in the game, and so sometimes you notice that someone drops a ball, and a lot of times it's not supposed to be guys just dropping balls. It's supposed to be you didn't take the proper route, you didn't take the proper angle, you didn't get to a ball at the right time, and you feathered the stick incorrectly. You got into the circle at the last second as the ball was already coming down. You weren't there, feet weren't set, yada 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 yada, and then it ends up resulting in an error. However, once again, it was completely botched this year. With the few patches that we've gotten, I feel like there have been some minor adjustments. I think they toned down the rate at which dropping fly balls that you're settled under have dropped drastically. But as a whole, the rest of it is, I think it's just hardwired. It's programmed into the game, and it's something we're not going to see change this year in MLB The Show 18. If you don't take what the game considers a perfect route to the ball, depending on your fielder's fielding, sometimes he's going to let it go right by him. Sometimes he's going to run right past it. And another thing, there is several animations that I notice it, and I'm like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. Like a hard ball hit to right field, if you don't have a right fielder who's particularly, excels at fielding, and you just sprint in to try to get that throw in to the plate, if you just sprint in and he doesn't have that good of a fielding, sometimes it's going to deflect off his glove. I get that. It makes sense. I know what they're trying to do. And going on in the future, MLB 19, I hope that that's something that's corrected. So then I go, hey, listen, I don't have Ichiro in right field. I have Nelson Cruz in right field. I can't sprint to this ball. I have to let it bounce a couple times, slow down, go up to it, make a strong throw, rely on Nelson Cruz's strong arm, and not try to sprint in on the ball because Nelson Cruz just doesn't have that fielding ability. Now, if I have Ichiro, I know I can sprint forward at that ball. I know I can trust Ichiro to field the ball correctly. And the thing about, like, for exactly with Ichiro, this is a perfect example. Ichiro was probably not only did he have one of the best arms of all time in the outfield, when the ball was hit, he was pretty much right behind second base fielding the ball because his reaction was so good that he was already there and he knew what to do and he played the ball very well. So those are the things that I look to see with MLB The Show's fielding going in the future. However, I think this year is just not there. So that is where they're trying to make the skill gap in fielding. One of the things that's pretty much one of my biggest gripes in the game. This one absolutely grinds my gear. There's two more things I want to talk about, but one of them is the throwing mechanism. I definitely think it needs to be touched up. For instance, basically I use button accuracy. I basically have a meter that's about this long. This portion of the meter is red, then yellow, then green, then yellow, then red. If you throw it in the red, you're definitely going to make an error. You're definitely going to throw it away. If you throw it in yellow, depends what base you're throwing to. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a high animation where the first baseman jumps, but he comes down and steps on the bag. Every other animation in yellow, you're probably going to pull the first baseman off the bag. If you throw it in green, you're expected to throw the ball at somebody's chest. However, that's not the issue, and this year it's gotten a lot worse than it was before. So basically, it's now going based off your player's rating mixed with that as well. So sometimes I can throw a green throw and I'll still throw a one-hopper to first base. And you think to yourself, how could I release the ball well and throw the ball in the dirt? That doesn't make sense unless it's a ball deep in the hole for a third baseman where he's down the line and he has to throw a one-hop skip to first base. That's understandable. However, there's a lot of times I get a simple ground ball at me, I throw over to first base, and it's a one-hop even though I released it in green. Now, this is one of those things where I think it needs to be programmed correctly. The bar should be the same no matter what. However, your green timing window, I think this is what is supposed to depend on your accuracy. If your accuracy is high, I think the bar should be bigger. I think that makes a lot of sense. If you have someone who's extremely accurate, they should be able to have a higher chance of making an accurate throw. Now, someone with very low accuracy should have a smaller green timing window, and if you release it in yellow, then you get the one-hop skips to first. You get the guys being pulled off for first baseman having to jump. You would think, I feel like every other game has mastered this already. I would think. I don't know. I would say maybe take kind of a little bit of notes from 2K, because 2K has something similar. Timing window, the higher it is to the top, the more chances you have of succeeding. If you get a green release, it goes in, but sometimes there are all white, and that's where I disagree as well. Now, to what I think should be my last point in terms of fielding, there are some things I hope do get fixed. Maybe San Diego Studios will listen to me, but they don't watch my videos, nor do they care about me. That's okay. Still love you guys. Another thing with fielding, and this I truly 100% blame Cougs. Thank you very much for this, Cougs. Now, I'm obviously just joking, but at the same time, I'm a little bit upset. Now, another thing is, back in the day, outfielders were kind of a dime a dozen. So most of the good players were kind of outfielders, and you would have sometimes 4 outfielders playing with you. Since there's no DH, you would throw a 4th outfielder at first base, and honestly, you probably wouldn't even notice. You just wanted that extra bat in the lineup, and it worked out in your favor. The only issue was first baseman, that balls hit hard down the line. They weren't going to feel that very well, but other than that, they played first base about as average as you can expect. So Ted Williams wasn't a liability in left field. He'd now be a liability at first base, which isn't as bad. However, some people were not happy, Cougs, that people were doing this. So San Diego Studios made it unrealistic to put outfielders at first base, which is fine for me. Like, I understand maybe not having first basemen be positioned correctly, maybe program first basemen to not pick the ball correctly, which they did. But the one thing they did to 100% deter you from putting anyone else at first base is that they made them drop routine throws to their chest. I 100% disagree with that. Listen, whatever you say, you can put just about anyone at first base and them catch balls thrown at their chest. It's baseball. This is not, it's not an issue. I don't know what player on earth can't play first base. I just don't know. I don't know what to say. I feel like anyone who's a shortstop can easily move to first base and play first base probably better than he plays shortstop. I don't know. That's just me. That's just my thinking. It just makes logical sense. And I feel like every catcher should probably have first base as a secondary. Most catchers are very capable of playing first base. Most of them take ground balls at first base just in case they need days off behind the plate. They'll have a backup catcher catch for them, and sometimes they'll play first base. I don't know what first baseman or what catcher can't play first base. I think the dropping of balls thrown to their chest is completely unrealistic. If you're gonna make it difficult to have an outfielder at first base, make the ground ball animations a little bit more difficult. Balls getting by down the line, positioning being bad when depending on who's at the plate, fielding ground balls, they bobble it, something like that. PFPs, they throw it behind the pitchers. That's what I want to see. I don't want it unrealistic where you throw it at a first baseman, it hits him in the glove and it bounces away. It's extremely unrealistic, and I'm not sure whose call that was to think that that was the best solution to an issue. That wasn't a solution to an issue. That was a band-aid, and it was a small band-aid for a huge cut. All in all, it seems that the community is unhappy with the game, and a lot of people are boycotting, which, to be honest, I kind of understand because I'm kind of unhappy with the game, but at the same time, I'm just taking it at face value, and I've been having more fun ever since. Is this the best MLB The Show game? Absolutely not. I would at this point probably say 16 probably was. Is this the worst MLB The Show game? Absolutely not. There's definitely other MLB The Show games I can put under this. But, you know, is it worth boycotting and not playing? I don't think so. If you like baseball, this is definitely still the best only baseball sim out there. And it could be a lot worse. Remember, it's a work in progress for the bigger picture. As far as what I'm thinking, it's a work in progress for something much bigger. And I think eventually they will get it down packed. San Diego Studios honestly has delivered an amazing baseball game for over a decade. And it just sucks that, you know, sometimes you have to take steps backwards to take steps forward. And I'm hoping that's the case with MLB The Show 18. But other than that, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Another thing I'd like to see added to this game is an actual pickoff mechanism and not just random throw over 100 times and then eventually either throw it away or pick the guy off. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys, you know, let me know what you guys think down below. If you enjoyed this video, smash the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is